Hello and welcome to Magna Builder Worlds. This is episode 3 of the Road to Salute 53. It's February the 24th. We're about 6.5 weeks away from the event, and I've still got quite a lot to do. I'm not worried at this point. I think I'm probably going to make it without too much bother. But my problem is one thing then generates another thing, and then you get new ideas, and then you want to do the new things as well. This video is mostly going to be about element 2 of the Arcworlde board. I'll show you a diagram picture in a minute of what I'm talking about. It's more river. I need to get this element done so I can do a resin pour and get resin into both river sections of this model, and then I've got to move on to element 3, which I think is probably going to be the most challenging part of the model, which is going to be the rock face, the cliffs and the waterfall. So I need to get element 2 done so I can then put element 1 and 2 onto Kallax units so I can work out how the hell I'm going to do the waterfall. I've got a few ideas, but nothing's set in stone yet. Let's see what I did there, set in stone. It's not going to be stone, it's definitely going to be bark and polystyrene. What are we doing in this? Well, let's have a quick look at this diagram. It's a different picture this time. Eagle-eyed viewers will have noticed in the last video I said, I'm going to show you a different picture of what I've got in mind, and then I showed you exactly the same one as I showed you in episode 1, but I'd kind of like gone over it, black lines to make it clearer. This is a different picture. It's over here on my workbench. Okay, so this is a slightly different image than the last one. This is one of my very early drawings for this kind of concept. Element 1, still this bit here, which is on a layer Kallax unit lying down. That's what we've looked at so far in episodes 1 and 2. That's got a river built into it, which has got to actually kind of like be filled. Element 2 is going up here on top of this Kallax unit that is standing up. Element 3 is this part here, which is the cliff face and waterfall that's going to be coming down from the top. Element 4 then, the airship, which will be hopefully mostly dealt with in the live stream on the 28th of February with Dale from JD and Stump. And then element, what's left? Element 5 is the cave system that's going in the top of this Kallax unit. So element 2 then, it's a fairly small rectangle that's going on top of the Kallax unit. It's the same width as the Kallax unit, so it's the same width as element 1. It's going to be longer just a little bit, so it'll hang over one end a bit. Otherwise, it's not actually a very useful board for using afterwards. The good news about it is the fact that it will actually fit on my workbench, my main workbench, this one, without any additions. So that's quite cool. So let's get the board and let's have a look. Okay then, this is the board for element 2. It is that's that 46 centimeters deep, which is actually deeper than a Kallax unit, and it is it is 30 inches or whoops, it's 30 inches or about 76 centimeters wide. So from here to here, this is the same width as the element 1 board. There's still going to be a river running down the middle of it, and it's going to be mainly flat, I think. Now there are a couple of issues. I'm making this out of plywood again. The only thing is it's different thickness plywood to the original board. The element 1 board I think is 12mm plywood, and I think this is only 8mm plywood. So rather than having a 5mm XPS layer and then a 10mm XPS layer, it's going to have two 10mm XPS layers on this, and I hope then everything will kind of work out levels wise. Although for Salute the two boards are not going to be kind of like going end to end, there's going to be this much height, this much height difference or so. I do want to be able to use these two boards end to end in other games. There's no point in making this board in many ways if you don't, and that's the reason why actually it's deeper than a regular Kallax unit by a few centimetres. So I've got more of a board to play with. It's 18 inches by 2 foot or more. Yeah, but actually 2.5 foot. So it's a decent playable space in some cases if you want to use that just by itself. And I could certainly get another board the same size as that, and then that would make a kind of like a 3 foot by 2.5 foot board, which will be a usable, playable kind of like thing. So the first thing I've got to do is stick down a 10mm layer of XPS foam on that and leave it overnight. Then I'm going to work out where the riverbanks are going. And again, like element 1, where I was really tempted to sculpt terrain and have trees and stuff, part of element 2 is going to be making a couple of standalone bits of scenery that are going to go on it. The idea is this Kallax unit has got a mine inside it, a cave behind a waterfall, but then a mine, an arcanite mine. So I want to make some mine workings to go on the top, which is really great because I've got lots of little mine bits from terrain crate, Mantic terrain crate. I've had for years, and they're just sat in a drawer out there in the CAC drawers in the kind of like store area, and I've done nothing with them for a long time, and I've always thought, oh, I'll do something with them. I'll use them for Wild West, or I'll use them for... So I'm actually going to make hopefully a mine entrance with a bit of railway going into it and that kind of thing, and little carts and stuff. So that will be part of that, and then there'll be so that will go on one side of the river, and then on the other side of the river there'll be space for a few buildings that are mine working buildings, and the kind of like the accommodation for the people working in the mines, that kind of thing. Somewhere I also want to put a landing platform, landing stage for the airship. I haven't worked out. I want to make this airship, right? That's tune into the live stream, or by the time this comes out you might have seen the live stream, so I'll talk more about that there. But I want to make this airship for Arcworlde. It'll be funny, it'll be cool, it'll be a cool model, great excuse. Absolutely no point in making it. There's no, you know, I mean, I'm gonna have to come up with scenarios where it's usable, but it'll be a good model to make. So from that point of view, it's gonna be fun. So I want to make a landing platform where the airship can be docked as well, one way or another. I'll work that out in a later video. So this then I'm going to get on with, first of all, with blue 10mm XPS foam, wheeled a whole load of Gorilla wood glue wherever the hell I've put that, stick it down, weight it down, cut it out, and then tomorrow, it's Wednesday, I'm going to be busy. We're going to go and play Arcworlde at Wayland Games on Wednesday night, and I might not get into that, but Thursday night I'll get into shaping the riverbanks and getting on with it. The process for a lot of element 2 is going to be very similar to the process that made this board, and then but then when that's all done, you see, then I can do a resin pour and put water into both of them, and then the fun thing is going to be making the elements that go on the top. Right, gotta find some glue. Don't know where to put it. Oh no, it's up there. It's up there. Get another bottle soon. This is my go-to heavy-duty stick XPS foam stuff. Right, I don't actually think you need to watch me squirt glue on yet another bit of wood and smear it all out and stick XPS foam down to it, do you really? So I'll tell you what, I could do one of those kind of like hip internet TikToky, Instagrammy, YouTubey reveal things, which is gonna go take you from me talking about doing it to it being done. Ready? Okay, we're 5.5 weeks out from Salute now, and I really have got to get on with this element 2 of the table. I made a start on element 4 on my last live stream. I'm not entirely convinced how happy I am with this at this point, but this is part of the airship. But I really need to get on with this, and this is as far as I've got. So this is the unit. This is going on top of the Kallax unit. It's going to have the mine workings on it. It needs a river on it, and stuff. First thing I need to do is get another bit of 10mm XPS foam. It's going to go on the top. I can work out where the river's going to go. I can cut river banks in and that kind of thing. So I need to find some more XPS. Back in a minute. Okay, annoyingly, I haven't got any more
XPS that's that wide that I can go all the way across. I do have XPS with added Ahsoka hair, mind you, but I can do 2 bits that are going to go this way, which is fine because it's got to be a river running down the middle of it pretty much anyway. So it doesn't matter that these two aren't going to join together because they're going to cut a river out of them. So that is what I'm intending to do. I think the easiest way to do this is going to be to put the board on the belt workbench. Get that right up to the edge. So flush there. Take a good long sharp blade. Cut it. He says, looking for a good long sharp blade. Twice, no less. I think it always amazes me about foam is how quickly it blunts the knife, but here we go. The other advantage with this is the fact you get quite a good straight vertical cut. One. Then the next tricky bit, of course, will be to line up the river. But here we go. Long straight blade. Hold that up. Job done. I've marked up on the 2 blue bits of foam now, on either side, where the river on the longer, bigger board goes. It's not thicker at here than it is over here, because on the long board I want a plunge pool which is wider. It's kind of like taken the water as it's fallen into it, and then that's this river, and I want this board to be able to go on either end of that other board if I want to extend it. So I want this bit to be able to fit either side. So these are my rivery kind of lines I want to kind of put in here. Now I want to keep the river running roughly centrally down the board. Going on there, yeah, cool. And then this one over here. Now this one is closer to the line, which is fine. But I also thought it would be a bit of fun. One thing you don't often see on boards like this, because I'm making it specifically for this board and it could be a board of game in its own right, is I thought it might be a bit of fun if I actually have a stream or something else coming in over here, feeding into the main river, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to draw on here a kind of rivery join. It's going to be thinner, only an inch or so wide, so it's going to look pretty really. It might be maybe 2 inches wide now, I think. So some figures might end up standing in it, other figures, for Arcworlde, blimey, the 50-60mm figures are just going to splash across it. I just think it'll be a bit of fun to have a different kind of... It could either come in from there, or, alternatively, coming from the side of the board. I'm not making this board to necessarily fit with another board over here, so it doesn't matter if I've got this kind of rivery stream. I think I'll do that, that'll be a bit of fun. Bit more water. So I need to cut off here and then through there, and that can be a tight little stream. Then that gives you a pocket of land over here, pocket of land over here, and a bunch of stuff over here. What I want is to have an interesting looking tabletop here. So I could use this, for example, this hilltop, old workshop-y hill. It's quite nice, got some fir trees on it, pine trees on it. They could stick kind of over this kind of side, but if I do that, it's a really big piece of terrain that's going to fill up most of that side of the board, which is okay, but I think that's a bit too much. I need something a bit smaller than that. Shame, because I absolutely love these polystyrene rocks. They're great, but because what I really want is a mine entrance and on a couple of buildings. I'm going to use, I think, if they'll fit, to make up the mine complex that's being built on the top. A couple of the scratch built kits that we're doing. So let me just have a think. If this is, yeah, see, I can have, they might be a bit too big actually for this bit of terrain, but I quite like the idea of having a mine complex with a couple of buildings that might look nice. Got a forge, got a cottage. I need an entrance to, see, the forge is just kind of like workshopy kind of thing. That'll look kind of cool. Although this is where the landing platform for the airship needs to be, so I don't know how I can make that work. I'll have that there. Might have this kind of cottage for the miners up here as well. This will need a wooden bridge over it, which would be kind of cool. I've got room for, now this is going to be, this might be where the mine workings go, like that. That could be cool, the mine entrance. And then I've got space for the airship. Chugga 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 chugga. The airship doesn't have to fit all on. I can quite happily have the landing platform facility kind of like hanging over the edge. I think that'll look quite neat. That'll be quite good. These buildings might be a bit too big. We'll have to see. But you know, hey. I think the important thing in a minute is to cut out the 3 bits, and then I need to shape the riverbanks and then stick them on. Then I can go away and think about the individual bits that are going on here, and I made such a mess at drawing all these lines over here that as you can see, I now need to cut this out to make sure I know which shape is which I'm using. Yeah, and then I'll have a nice little resin stream here running into this river here. That'll look kind of cool. Let's do that quick, then get it all stuck down, then I can go and make some dinner, because it's Tuesday night. Heidi's at yoga and I need to cook for it. Yeah, and then come back to this when it's dried a bit. Okay. Right, I've decided that over this side, this is where I want the mine entrance to be, the mine working. So I've got a piece of hardboard that I've now drawn on here, shaped. I'm not going to fill up the whole of the top of this because I want rocks over here. Oh, this is where the cliff face is going to hang, but I do want this mine entrance, which I'm going to make from foam. So I need a base, which I'm going to cut to fit on here. Then I'm going to stick several layers of, I don't know, 50mm XPS foam on it maybe, that I can carve and see what I can come up with. So I need to move my board out of the way. The board is now sticking, as you can see. Hang on, back this up. There we are. So we can now see my main river. It's slightly wider at this end, I think. Well, this is where this is going to be the waterfall end. This is the other end that will hopefully match up the river if I ever lay it down there. Nice little stream out there. Bit of a bottleneck here. I'm probably going to put a wooden bridge. Well, I'll make a wooden bridge I could put on almost anywhere, I think, with the idea across here or over here. There's going to be the odd rock in the water here, so there might be a kind of like stepping stone type possibility here. So anyway, I'm going to put this out of the way now because this just needs to dry. Frankly, I'm going to have to leave this to dry. It's Tuesday now, it's going to have to dry. I'll deal with this on Wednesday, maybe possibly, although Wednesday night is gaming night at Wayland Games, so we'll be playing Arcworlde on another board. So this might not get touched until Thursday night, but we'll see. So that out the way, let's cut out this hardboard base. Where's my thing? Need a Stanley knife. There's no easy way of doing this. I'm going to cut out my hardboard base and I'm going to work from there. Going to end up, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to stick all my polyester. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick all my polystyrene together tonight because I think I'm running out of wood glue, which is not good. Not good. Oh well, never mind. Right, so I've cut my hardboard base out. I'm now stuck it down to some 10mm XPS, which I'm going to let dry. I've cut it down, stuck it on 10mm XPS because I want to sculpt a little bit. I want a low relief bit first of all, so I'm going to use a hot one to cut down that, and then I have a big chunk that will be where I build my kind of like rocky bit where the mine entrance goes. And I also want to leave enough. It's going to be quite a large piece. But enough where I can have the kind of like landing platform attach or stick the landing platform next to it for my airship, which is still my plan. So, but so I can see what I'm doing, I'm going to cut away, I think, the excess XPS. That's what we're going to do now. I like using a long blade like this, one of these snap-offable blades, because they're a bit more flexible than short Stanley blades. And I'm doing this at my workbench in the office and I can't be asked to get the Proxon out, although cutting this out with the Proxon will be a piece of cake because you just run the hardboard round by it. But let's go and get the Proxon, set it up, plug it in. Will take longer than me to cut out the polystyrene, so I might as well just do that. Kind of think he says chucking up hardboard, if you see what I mean. How are we doing? It's the awkward part, right? And then I need to put something on it to weigh it down, stick it down overnight. Well, that's not a problem. I'll find a book or two. Nice. Yeah, because my idea is, you can see it lifting up already, but that's because that's sloping there. So I need to weigh that down. It sticks good and hard, but I think my main rock bit will be here, and this will be, this is where I'll put the 50mm or more foam. And this is going to be mine entrance, so it'll probably end up with a cave kind of here, and then it's a railway tracks. Which I'll show you how they work in a minute. Yeah, cool. While I'm waiting for the bits of element 2 to dry, like the base for the mine, that's simple for mine entrance, and for the rivers to dry, which is going to be now tomorrow at least, I think I'm going to get on with element 4, which is the airship. You might have seen me starting Element 4 in my live stream last weekend on Saturday night when I went live with Dale from JD in the Sump in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was kind of cool. We've never done a joint live stream before. It was kind of good fun. If you join me, thanks for joining me. Special big thanks to Jay for hanging out and getting on with his Necromunda Sump build for Adepticon while I got on with stuff for Sloot. Now, this, for those of you who didn't join me on that live stream and haven't gone back and watched like all 4 hours of it, I started working on an airship for my Imperial faction for Arcworlde. I did always fancy building an airship for Burrows and Badgers, but it just doesn't really kind of go with my headcanon of where B&B is. It's a bit too technologically advanced. Whereas Arcworlde with Arcanite as this magical kind of like power stuff, you could do almost anything with it. So an airship for Arcworlde, I think, in my mind, fits perfectly. I'm using some Playmobil components. This is a Playmobil airship, conveniently, from their range called Novelmore, which is mostly fancy stuff, but then it's got some wacky steampunk stuff in it as well. I'm also using a Playmobil ship, which I've added bits to. Now, I wasn't completely convinced that it was working the other night, but I'm going to carry on, see how it goes, because a lot of the time these things actually, it's the end product where you get to. So this is what it looks like in a minute. So this is the ship. I've put a bit from I think that's an Atlantis toy from Disney underneath to give it more body underneath. I've built this kind of like wooden cabin structure on the top. I want to keep a lot of the deck free because my Imperial crew for this the Imperials are humans. They are mainly on 30mm bases, so they'll fit on either side of the superstructure and round the back to some extent. And there is also a whacking great big ogre character, which I have given an oxygen tank and a flying helmet and goggles and a breather to. He already comes with the 6-barrel knock version, or it's 4 barrels, but huge great big thing. He's on a big 60mm base, so he will fit in this space here. So I need to keep that kind of like free so I can have all my Imperial figures on board the ship. The roof of the little cabin goes on top, thus, and then what's going to happen is my airship with added Yakult Arcanite engines, which need some work, but they're not bad. They're going to sit, just going to sit right here. I'm going to have to find out a way of gluing that on. Probably going to use hot glue or something else. So this is, I think, kind of working. But needs quite a lot of work still to go. Now, I need to steampunk it up a bit more. And now one of the things I found, I've also made this huge wooden rudder, fish tail rudder thing that go on the stern to steer it through the air. One of the things I found, I've had this kicking around in my bits boxes for ages. I can't remember where it came from. It might have been given to me by my friend Edward Jackson. I might have collected it myself when I was in my Victoriana phase. For years I thought actually it was a pencil sharpener. I never, because it's got this big bit at the back, right? And I never actually thought that it wasn't. But then it was only the other day I picked it up and realised that there's no hole in the back to put pencils in. So it's not a pencil sharpener. It's just a little traction engine type thing from I don't know, some museum or another. But I'm thinking that I'm gonna sink this into the roof here, so this bit is at roof level, and then the wheels here will be part of the kind of like machine inside, and then there'll be a little chimney and boiler sticking out the top, and I think that will help steampunk up this cabiny bit, the engine room and whatever else. So I'm gonna have to go back and kind of cut into my roof and try and fit it in. Fuck knows how I'm going to do that without making a mess of it. But I think that'll be an interesting kind of feature. I've got to do something with this. I'm not happy with this cabin. It's just too damn boxy and not steampunk enough. Maybe I should have done it in metal with strips of rivets. Maybe I need to put more features up the outside, riveted on. Don't know. I'll see what it looks like. We'll see where we go from there. So that's where I'm going. I'm going to take this lid off. What I need to do first of all is, I don't, idiot. I was going to say I need to mark where it is, but basically it's going to sit above that hole. I'm going to take this lid off, work on this on the workbench, put everything else to one side for a minute, because I genuinely think that this could be a cool way of making it a bit more steampunky. And what I'm going to do initially to get the workers is I'm just going to poke it down and hopefully get, yeah, I don't know how clear we can see that. Well, there are little indents in the balsa wood here where the wheels went, so that gives me something to work with. I think I'm just going to cut a rectangle out and sink it in, and then I'll fill in the gaps. Yeah, let's do that, see what happens. So I've cut a rough rectangle out of the top, out of the balsa and the top layer of foam board, and then that's, I mean, that actually sits in there really quite nicely, look. That's quite good. So I'm going to keep to this size of this rectangle, and I'm going to cut through to the base. Cut out a complete rectangular hole and see what that looks like. Let's give that a go. So I'm now only cutting through the foam and the bottom layer of cardboard, so it's a piece of cake to do. Although it's quite good. It's demonstrating really well what happens to the foam core when it hasn't got cardboard top and bottom. Look at how that polystyrene tears there. Always amazes me how I sometimes see people talking about foam core. They talk about peeling off the cardboard on the outside because they think they're working with foam board, and that's just absolute rubbish. Right, okay, so there's my hole cut out. Now, with a bit of luck, a bit of jiggery pokery, I can fix that in. Needs just a tiny bit more cut out the back, and now we're sinking this down into the roof, which is quite good. These will look like they're kind of like flywheels turning a bit of machinery underneath. That's sitting there, and there's a lip front and back to hold it in place. And I think I'm either then going to go back underneath it. I think what I'll do is I'll go underneath it and get some balsa and fill in these gaps, or I'm just going to get a shitload of hot glue and hot glue in between. But yeah, let's cut a tiny bit more out. I mean, I don't mind if it looks a bit odd as a model, because, you know, the fact in the end is it's fantasy, and it's a fantasy steamship. And fantasy steamship and Arcanite and Arcworlde equals whimsy. So, you know, if it looks whimsical and a bit daft, then I'm down with that. That's alright. So look, we're going to sink that in there. That's going in nice. And actually, what, to keep that flat, that's kind of cool, I'm going to take out the balsa, but not the whole thing here. Hopefully that will sit in there a bit more. Oh yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure how many times the W word's been used in this video now, because I've been recording it over a couple of days, but this, I mean, the element 2, the mountain top, the cliff top thing, nice, hoping it's going to be a nice rivery bit of scenery, a bit of terrain, blah. Not necessarily that whimsical, whereas the airship is going to be certainly lending the whimsy to the whole kind of project. Right, okay, so that's in there. Then if I bring my airship model back in, put that on, in place. Alexa, stop. Slide the roof back in. Thus. Drop my steam engine into position on. Turn that round. How's that looking? I quite like that. I think that's looking a bit better now. That's giving me a bit more encouragement. I'm not making the
this possible to put figures inside. We're going to abstract the fact that characters are going inside. In fact, so far I haven't even put a door on it anywhere to get in to the superstructure, but that's got to happen. But I haven't even got anywhere where this vessel's being steered from yet either, which I'm assuming ought to kind of like be happening from in here too. But yeah, that's quite good. That's giving me a kind of bit more steampunky kind of, gives me a bit more steampunky kind of action going on here. By the time that's stuck on there, zoom out a bit, out of the way. By the time this now sits there like that, that's I think going to look a bit more steampunky, especially if I put that's sitting right in there, that goes up there, and then this thing is feeding up into that, which is also quite nice. So yeah, that's going to help with the kind of the whimsiness of this model. Excellent. Right, that's a good place to stop for a minute. We'll go make some dinner. Right, so pausing the making of the river, because part of anything else I fucked a bit up, but I'll get to that in a second. Just because all the other things we try and do before salute, we are trying to get the instructions for our scratch build cottage done, so we can actually get these out of people, because there are people who are asking after them. So Gary's round, give me a hand. And this is a set of instructions. Turns out the trickiest bit of all of this was not the designing the model, making the model, designing the box stuff, deciding what goes in it, all that kind of thing, but writing the instructions. There you go. Hopefully we're going to make a video to talk through lots of options and various other bits and pieces too. We'll have to see. Anyway, I can't stop because writing instructions. So this is my river bed. This is the table as it is. This section, which is looking kind of cool. It looks great by itself, but the only problem is I did discover a bit of an issue, and that is, well, let's just see. This bit of river was designed on the off chance to line up with, he says getting out the other board, which is going to fit. Oh fucking fuck. It's designed to fit with this bit of river. And somehow, along the lines, I managed to not make it fit with this river. In fact, it's completely out, and I've fucked it totally. So, what we're going to do here is some marking off, some cutting and filling, because that's got to go to there, that's got to come to here. I can't believe I managed to do that somehow. Because I'm not going to use this board very often with this board, but when I do want to put them both together, the river won't bloody line up. Just while I'm on that, well, the other way around. The other end of the river, this end of the river here, was supposed to be wider because this is where the waterfall is going over the edge of the board. The waterfall's supposed to go over here, and I wanted it to be deliberately wider, so I'm just turning this other board round to make sure this can line up in the rear, because this one might. Oh, fuck, will you look at that? Oh, hang on, no. And if I pull that over there, that does line up miles out on that one. Holy shit! That's fucking. I don't know how the hell have I done that? God damn. Okay, yeah. So I don't know why you're bothering watching this dude's videos, because he's fucking really made a mess of this. So I need to come around here, just on the off chance, and then this needs to come over there like that.
Oh yeah, let's watch the expert modeller do a grand job of making this model. Alright, hang on. Line this up. Right. Crap, that's miles out. Right, these two are supposed to line up. When the boards are lined down like this, if I ever use them end to end and I wanted to have a big wet, this is just like flipping miles away from where it's supposed to be. And I don't intend to use these boards together very often, but they're not going very well together now because they're on a slope and they're on green mats and bits and pieces. But completely flat, that should work. But again, this is miles out. So I'm going to have to cut some polystyrene out here so it'll kind of fit in there roughly, and add some polystyrene over there and bodge it one way or another. Bollocks! I made a right mess of that. Absolutely, completely messed up those two rivet joints. So, before I can get on and sand this, I've got to fix it. Okay, now we've got sand on everything. It's not dry, but I haven't got time to sit around. I'm going to put bits of slate and stone in my river. Now I've forgotten which end is the bit that's supposed to join up with the fucking... I know this is this end I want to be rockier, because this is where I'm going to have the waterfall crashing over the side of the mountain. But I want to have rocks in here. I want to have a couple of bits of slate in here so we could have a kind of like stepping stones across there, stones around the edge, different grades. Go! Right, so while this lot is drying, I'm now going to take a hot one and I'm going to trim down some of this so I can now then start building up polystyrene XPS foam on this so I can make the top bit of my mountainy bit with a cave entrance for a mine. That's the next mission. Okay, so some of this, well, this is going to hopefully be a mine, and I've got lots of bits of mine track and mine paraphernalia from Mantic Terrain Crate. Actually, the one I kickstarted years ago loads, so from that point of view I'm finally getting to use some of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just working out laying down a couple of bits that are kind of going to go into the mountain, because I think it's going to look quite cool. So a little track there, and this, because this is Arcanite, I mean I'll probably go with a little cart on the thing out there. And actually, without knowing it, Mantic Terrain Crate even made little kind of like crystally things that will work really well as Arcanite painted up, so I can use them in my model too. Although I've got quite a lot of actual Arcanite crystals, but yeah, so this is quite cool. This has got like there's a bunch of gunk that goes in the wagon, and I've got tracks. A lot of these I'm going to use in the element 5 down below, but this is going to be quite a neat kind of thing. I've just found a tent outside in me bits that's going to be part of the camp up by the mine head as well. But yeah, this is quite neat. So I've smoothed off this bit here. This is giving me an idea. I mean, what I might do is, I don't know, have a bit of a curve coming out of the mountain, out of here like that, and then go into that like that. But that doesn't make any sense. That would be stupid. It would look quite cool, but there's no way you're going to end with your thing on there like that. So what I might have is, and hell, you'd put your track straight into the hole, wouldn't you, like that? So that's going to disappear inside the hill, and there's going to be the odd kind of like, I can have the odd wheelbarrow and various other bits and pieces around, and that will have a little mine cart sitting on it. It's kind of cool. I'll be able to use this for other kind of games possibly then. There's not enough room for, I mean, look, there's a set of points there. I could split my track, but then there's also, yeah, I like it. So I'm definitely, this is going to be out. This has got various mine components and siege works and various things. So I'm going to trim this edge down a little bit more, but I don't want to mess around with this kind of like bit here, because that's where I want my minecart to sit and the track going into the edge of it. But I am going to need to go and find some big XPS to stick on it. I'm nearly done with this video, I think. Right, let's carve a little bit more. Following date, everything should be dry. First of all, here is now my rocky outcroppy bit. It's a bit contrived and it needs a bit of trimming, but it will work alright. But I can now put my mine tracks going into the mine, which is kind of cool. Coming out of the mine. There's the end. I reckon that'd be quite a nice bit of scenery actually. Kind of cool, because I could use this for 28mm Wild West. If only I had 28mm Wild West, it was a 40mm Wild West. That'll work right. So this needs trimming up in places, because I did all this by eye. So to make it neater, you need to kind of trim it kind of around here and different places to get the hot wand on that. And then I will use a load of stones, real stones, to
start to cover up some of the obvious kind of polystyrene. Slate and stone. What I now need to do, of course, is take the sand off the river. See where we are with that. Kind of cool. Apart from mysteriously this one bit of blue here, which doesn't appear to be covered, which I'll have to cover now. That side, that all looks like it's ready for painting, which is good, because that's the next mission. Just to clear up this sand. Okay, so there we go, base coat going on. I need a bit of water. Of course, I want to paint the whole base, the whole board with this paint first of all. Going to run out. Haven't been able to get any to replace it. But the heavier grey stones I don't necessarily need to paint. They're going to go black and get dry brushed and stuff. So. I'll tell you what, one thing you really don't need to do is watch a mid-50s bloke paint something brown. Christ. It'll literally be like watching paint dry. Right. That's all the brown on. Lots of stones to go black. Got to let it dry. It's going to take a little while. Can get on again with my rocky outcrop. Okay, so this is going to be the mine entrance. There it is. Now, in fairness, right, it's a bit contrived because it's impossible to make bits of mountain really without making a full-on mountain. So, but this is going to sit. It will sit up top on this side. Can't see that, can you? It will sit up here on top of the board. We're going to have the railway in there. We're going to have on this side. There are going to be a couple of buildings. There'll be some trees and stuff. I haven't worked out where I'm going to put this landing platform for the. I mean, I might have it this way round, but or it might be closer to the edge over there. It's going to be a nice little piece. It would work quite well, I think, on a board if I made some more to go with it, and it will certainly be quite good for Wild West games and various other bits and pieces too. So from that point of view, I think it's going to be a cool addition to my collection of scenery. So the next thing, I'm going to take some more slate and bits of stone from my front drive now. I've used up virtually all that little stuff. I'll put that on there. That'll give some nice textures and try and get away from the kind of foam, the hot wand cut kind of foam, which will be mostly okay when I cover it in sand anyway. But I'm now gonna take some some more glue, stick more of this stuff on, roundabout, just to, and then I'm going to leave that overnight. To fully dry off in here. Give me some proper rock textures and stuff, which will be probably stout enough for figures to be stood on in some ways. Adds to the kind of overall rocky detail. I'm not really doing this with much of a plan right now. I'm gonna stick that on there. I'm basically fine, although it makes the scenery pieces a bit heavy doing this because you're adding actual stones. I do also find that it does make them A, a little bit more robust, and B, the natural shapes you get from stone and slate is just better. So I think it'll work fine, and you get nice textures to paint as well. That's the other thing. It's funny, it's at this part where I've got white PVA glue running down my model. I was sitting there thinking,
Ah shit, I should have stuck this on with hot glue really, but the advantage of doing this is I'm going to be able to fill around the edges with sand and smaller bits of stone, but this big stuff, which I basically wanted to put on tonight, so it sticks and bonds, I could have stuck on with hot glue, and I never think of using hot glue in these circumstances, and I really should. It's really kind of annoying. Oh, never mind. Because then I can cover the rest of it with sand later, but hey ho. What a nub. What a nub, ladies and gentlemen. However, yeah, I am hoping that the addition of real stone is going to elevate this a little. Kind of cool. Certainly make for more interesting painting.
Okay, here we go. This is it. With it looks like volcanoes of stuff running down it at the minute, which is a bit messy. I'm gonna leave this overnight. The rest of it will get covered with sand tomorrow anyway. But hopefully that's going to have got a fair amount of kind of like decent rock, chunks of rock on it one way or another. I can't shake it off or anything right now. If I do, I'll lose the big bits of stone and that'll defeat the whole object. So I'll see what this is like. And then tomorrow I'm going to hoover the floor of the office because I made a bit of a mess. Right, okay, it's following day. It's where we got to from last night. I can now keep all this lot off. All the loose stuff. Now the next mission, work around all the stuff that worked underneath it. Some of it dripped off. That's fine, we can trim that away. All of that needs to go in the sandbox. Then we're going to Mod Podge this, cover the rest of it in sand so I can get on paint. But overnight the stones got stuck on real good, so from that point of view, mission accomplished there. Jobs today, get this up to the point where I can paint it, get cock, get the stones dry brushed in the river over here, get a flock on this, and that will be nearly ready for a resin pour. Inspect the, man, look at that. If I hadn't have coughed to it in the video that I'd had to cut bits on here, you'd never know. Right, so let's wheel a brush on this, get some Mod Podge, get some sand on it, soon as go. And I'm going to make you watch me paint white glue on some polystyrene. That sounds a bit dull. Okay. Oh, it's Monday the blah blah. I don't know what day of the month it is. It was 9th, 10th of March. What it is
got to be the last day of doing this bit of this video, so what do we need? Right. This is get element 2 to the point where it's ready for a resin pour. What do we need to do? Well, all we actually need to do, which is not too bad at all really, we need to paint all the stones and then flock the 3 sections, put stuff in the river. Along with that, then I can hoover the floor of my office, come workshop. So I'm going to do a really quick kind of like series of grey dry brushes on all my stones. Oh, fuck off. I'm doing a really quick series of different grey dry brushes. Right, that's it. I'm done with this video. I can't take any more. I'm fucking done. It's Tuesday. No, it's not. It's Monday. It's Monday the 9th of March now. There's just about a month to go until Salute. I've done element 1. You've seen that before. Element 2. I like these names. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to this bit in a minute. Element 2. Bloody shit. Now looks like this. Okay, this is the bit that's going on top of the Kallax unit. It's waiting for a resin pour now. I'm actually really pleased with this. I've got to say, if you were keenly watching earlier with that bit about fecking it up and having to cut out and chop things, I'm really happy with the fact that if I hadn't told you, shut my face, I could have just done that and got away with it, because you can't tell at all. This is actually quite a neat little board. It is 18 inches by 30 inches. What's that? 2 for 6. Yeah, 2 for 6 by 1.5 foot. You can actually play quite a nice little game on this in its own right. So it's quite a cool little board. Thank you. You can actually play quite a nice game in this in its own right. It's got a river, a stream with a few trees and a couple of bits. It's bloody ace. So the fact that this bit, actually, this is just for window dressing for the show. I'm really pleased with it. It goes really well now with element 1. I've put black. I've put paint all the sides black on this. I haven't done that on that one over there. Also in this video then, I've got this far now with my airship, which of course I started in, which is element 5, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is element 5. This is how far I've got with the airship. So it's kind of coming on. I'm happier with it than I was earlier. There's my crew on board. They're nearly all done. That's got more work to come, so we'll see how that goes. And I've had to draw this video to a close before I've completely finished this, but this now is my Meraki mine entrance, which is grey at the minute to go with everything else. But Freya, my daughter, walked in and knows I'm a big Disney fan and went, "Oh, is that from Big Thunder Mountain?" And actually, it totally could be. I could build a few more of these and I'll have a Wild West kind of like mine too, which is quite neat. This has got to be dry brushed up. I've got to use the terrain crate bits of mine cart and stuff to go in there. I might even build a kind of wooden structure out the front yet, but that's going to be finished off. You'll see that finished in another video, but I'm really pleased with that. So on the whole, I've got a lot done. We've got a month to go. This might actually happen. I was going to do element 3 next in the next video, but I've got resin coming, so I could do the resin pour. But actually, episode 4 of the Road to Salute, I'm going to focus on the B&B board. We'll see how that is. I don't have to do masses for that. I am making a new piece of terrain for Burrows and Badgers, so that'll be on there. Watch out for that. And we're going to have a look at a bunch of the different models that are on the B&B board, because it's sometime since people have seen them. I've got a bunch of repairs to do and various other things, because that's the nature of scratch built models. So from that point of view, yeah, it's kind of cool. Right, so add to all the building in this video. We did, of course, stop halfway through. Thanks to Gary coming around helping me out. I have now got written instructions for and notes to make the first of our Magrathea Builder of Worlds fantasy scratch building kits, which of course is this brilliant little cottage. Really love this.
The instructions will take you through building the one that's on the box, and then it's going to give you a whole bunch of kind of ideas how to build other versions of it as well. The whole idea of these is that you make your own versions, but there'll be instructions how to build this one. This is definitely going to be available before Salute. We have a table. We're only running games at Salute. Can't be selling these things at Salute. I'm not a trader at Salute. Neither is Fable Faye. Harry, of course, I'm making these with. We are not trading. We are only there to play games. But we are going to make this available before Salute that people can buy from Fable Faye's Etsy page. And they can then collect it from us at Salute, because we can just give you a box. So watch out for that. That's going to be there. What I've got to do first of all is type up all my notes, and then we're going to make a video, and then this is pictures, and then I'm going to hand it over to somebody who's much better at making documents, i.e. my brilliant wife Heidi, who will make this into a thing, and then that will go in the box, and then that's going to be really cool. And I'm super excited about getting this cottage finally available, because we've been talking about this now for about 6 months. The forge/shop will be available soon after that, and I have already drawn ideas for the chapel and the pub. It's really cool. I'm really excited to be producing a bunch of scratch build kind of kits as a kind of reaction, I suppose, to all the plastic kits you can buy and all the MDF kits. If you want to get involved in making your own stuff and you don't know how, this is going to be the perfect thing for you. So thanks very much for watching Magathea Builder Worlds on the road to Salute 53. I'm quietly confident at this point that I might get it done, all of it, although Element 3, which is the big ass waterfall, it's going to be the challenge. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked this video, if you're enjoying the road to Salute, please comment down below. Make sure you comment down below. If you are not a subscriber to Magathea Builder Worlds, why the hell not? Subscribe. Click on that subscribe button, click the like button, that would be really helpful. If you want to join my Discord, there is a link down below for the Discord, and if you want to support this channel further, you can always support it at patreon.com/Magathea Builder Worlds. That would be really cool as well. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Extreme close-up on the mine.